project. I did a suicide prevention focused project. So how I decided on that was I have had some personal experience with suicide and veterans. So I decided to make that at the forefront of my focus for my individual project. So what ended up happening was I came to my VA supervisor and I kind of discussed with her what I wanted to do. So my original plan was to simply provide like a suicide prevention packet and give that on to the veterans within our VA system, just to give them more resources to prevent suicide. However, she put me in touch with our suicide prevention coordinator, who kind of talked to me about the real issue is people that aren't connected to the VA in any way, because they're not able to be reached by VA services, because the suicide prevention department at our VA already sends out, I think it was 15 letters a year, so my extra resources wouldn't really kind of do much in that sense. However, if I was able to touch the other members of my community that weren't connected with the VA and possibly connect them with the VA, that would be the best way for me to kind of do good in that sense. So what ended up happening is I then connected with another suicide prevention coordinator who works in Terre Haute, Indiana. And I kind of got on the phone with her and discussed kind of my funneled down plan as I described before. And she thought that the best way for me, a high school senior, to make sure I got the results that I wanted to get and not overextend myself and therefore create a poorer quality project, was to send out a survey in my community, being my school, and then seeing if anybody had a veteran in the family or knew a veteran and would be willing to pass on a suicide prevention packet. This way I wouldn't be violating any privacy and it would all be voluntary, and I would also be reaching people who are more than likely not connected with the VA. Thus, when sending out these packets, I had not only had suicide prevention resources, but also connections to registering at the VA and ways to get involved in that community. That way, I could attack from both angles. For example, in my county, there are 17 veterans who commit suicide per day, and 11 of them are not connected to the VA. So with more than half of the veteran suicides not being connected to the VA, this was an integral component of what I wanted to do as well. In terms of what I thought was most challenging, I think it was the overall funneling of what I wanted to do, because I started out with such a big idea on wanting to touch every single person connected to the VA, and then after deliberation, one, it wasn't feasible, two, it actually probably wasn't the best way to help. So I think that the most challenging thing was narrowing down what I wanted to do, and then when I knew what I wanted to do, it was kind of smooth sailing from there. In terms of strengths, I was able to leverage from this. I think it was really kind of my resilience and determination in making sure that I followed up every lead, making sure that I kind of implemented my passion and made my passion known for what I wanted to do. So whenever I talked to any supervisors or heads of departments, I made it kind of known that I was going to do whatever it took and would be able to modify my plan in any way just to make sure that I got this done. And I think that that message from me and seeing that passion from me allowed them to kind of make an easier decision and say, okay, he can probably handle it if I tell him to do this. So I think that those aspects of my personality and those strengths were made it able for me to have a more successful project. As I said before, my initial vision was to do this big project connecting every single person in the VA system in Indianapolis. However, that obviously wasn't feasible, so eventually it got funneled down to just the people in my community. And I think I did achieve the impact I desired as I reached out to countless veterans in my community, and I think that them being in my community kind of did achieve what I wanted to do, because my aim is to help veterans, and I think that the best way for me to do that was to reach out to people who weren't connected to the VA. And I think that me being able to help people in my community and connect them to the VA just was kind of a two-pronged approach that really helped my main mission in this project. Some of the key takeaways from this project, I would say number one is time management. Honestly, I did not start on time. I gave it about 2 weeks before I actually started following up leads. And while I did finish, and I think I did a pretty good job, I think that if I had started earlier, I could have probably refined the process a little bit more, and it probably would have been a little bit less stressful. As well as this, I think I took away the importance, or one of the key takeaways was the importance of communication, as I did have to communicate with several supervisors of different cities, my own supervisor, our head of suicide prevention, another head of suicide prevention, my school administrators, and just being able to keep timely communication and being clear on what I wanted with all of them was key in me kind of getting the results that I wanted. Other than that, I'm just very proud of what I achieved here, and I think that the SLC allowed me to help a lot of veterans here, and I thank them for that opportunity.